Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of my show. This is your host, Monama. And as always, I'm trying to dig in and find some really lucrative and interesting topic to talk about. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, today I have very wonderful guest I really appreciate that you accepted my invitation and you came here. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome with me our brilliant crypto investor, exchange. How can I say? Trader, creative, Bahraini talented into the stock market and cryptocurrency. It's been really a pleasure to have you here, Mr. Ahmed Al-Baharna.
First of all, Mohammed, thank you for inviting me. It's a great honor to be collaborating with local talent, especially more than anything. I'm very excited to be here and to share whatever I have.
Brilliant. And do you known outside here as Ahmed Al-Baharna, or do you known as?
I'm known as Ahmed Al-Baharna mainly, but my handle is crypto Majlis. I'm a content creator, sort of sarcastic critic of financial markets. The page documents my experiences and my adventures in financial markets and essentially how I strategize with my finances.
Wow, that's really great. And if you allow me, Ahmed, to ask you, as all guests here, when I bring him here, the reason why I bring these guests here just to share awareness and spread out some motivational stories, or to share basically their stories to get the best out of it, the best way possible. Let me ask you a question. Is that something that within you, or you find out later on when you finish it? Like, how did you involve in all these things, first of all?
Well, first of all, you know how you develop certain skills out of the lack of other skills.
Right.
This was a similar story to that, in the sense that I've been very irresponsible, historically speaking, with my finances, with the way I manage my money.
Right.
So at some point in life, you come to this brick wall where you either learn something to get over it, or it smashes you in the face and you stop moving. So at that point in life, I just decided to pick up whatever I understand and whatever I am able to understand and practically work with.
Nice.
Which was essentially something that's a lot similar to something that's closer to financial markets, understanding how trade works, relative to kind of experiences that I've had in my leisure, playing video games.
Nice.
Doing all of those things. You get some kind of traction, some kind of heading out of doing stuff like that. And this is the heading in which I've decided to set my course upon, so to speak.
Okay, that's really well said. And then after that, how did you start all that?
Well, to be honest, it's a very weird story, and it's not the best story about how to get into financial markets.
Right.
But a friend of mine introduced me to this idea of binary options trading, and it's the closest thing to a legal bet that you can place to potentially make some money. And this is done on all kinds of financial markets: the forex, gold, commodities, stocks, what have you. Quite a stupid thing. So this kind of trading is 90% luck, I would say, and that didn't sit well with me.
Right. You mean like the forex and all this, like gold and
no, the binary options trading on these commodities specifically.
Okay.
The method of trading was more about luck than it is about being analytical and coming up with the right answers to the right questions. So that wasn't enough for me. I had sparked an interest, but haven't satisfied the itch, so to speak. Me being an engineer by nature, I would say, I took a deep dive into these things and took my first steps into a real financial market into forex and gold. That's where I learned how to do technical analysis. That's where I learned how to forecast and do all these processes and different methods to like come out with some profit, make money out of any kind of economic move and in any kind of economic market, really. So yeah, that's how I got into trading as a whole. But my journey was just beginning because I found that currencies and commodities were a little too volatile and not lucrative enough at the same time. As funny as that may sound to someone who's an experienced trader or investor, I was looking for something that's a little bit risk off. So that's when I discovered stock trading.
Nice.
Stock trading to me was heaven because I didn't have to rely on being so technical and being so analytical about things.
True.
You could make decisions based off of just simple events, and they could turn out to be very good decisions. Like, for example, buying Apple stock before they release and announce their new phone. That's an easy
way to predict.
Not a prediction. It's an easy way to make money. Like, Apple every year does a conference in September, October, November. They announce their MacBooks, their iPhones, their what have you. And it's up to you to get in a position to make money off of that.
Right.
Essentially.
Right.
And this requires no technical knowledge whatsoever.
True.
So yeah, that was the first investment, let's say, experience I've had. So now that I've been through a technical aspect of things, and then the more fundamental, let's say, they call it a fundamental, more method of trading and investing. What led me to crypto at the end of it all is a funny story. Because I was visiting a friend of mine. Now, a lot of people know this. If you want to succeed at something, if you want to be doing something useful with your time, you should be hanging out with like-minded people.
Absolutely.
People who are not necessarily doing the exact same thing you're doing, but doing something moving. Let's call it moving. Just keep swimming. Finding Nemo, just keep swimming.
Yeah.
People who are swimming. So in the spirit of that, I had met with an old friend of mine, and we were just talking about things. I told him, I've gotten into stock trading recently, and I've been crushing it. I've been getting some good profits, good numbers. So my friend looks at me and he shamelessly asks me, he's like, how much profit are you up this month in percentages? And I told him, and he had this like dumbfounded face, as in like, this is how happy you are with that much money?
Right.
As in, it's not enough. It's nothing.
For him.
Yeah, for him. He was laughing. He was laughing maniacally, and almost. And I was curious as to why. How would someone have, what kind of pretext is in this guy's mind that would make him laugh at something that genuinely took some effort and time.
True.
And a lot of lost money as well to achieve. And he told me, well, yeah, you're doing this thing with stock trading, and that's essentially just finding out what good stocks are there to buy, what good opportunities are there in the market. And I said, yeah. And he said, and you average, around this much for the month. And I said, yeah. And he's like, well, I did the same thing in crypto, and I averaged about 700% returns. I had the same face. I made the same face.
Really?
Yeah. So in the same amount of time, bad. So it was around late January of 2021, and he said, around the same time that it took you to make this percentage on your portfolio, I've already made 7 times on my entire capital. And that blew me away.
It's like boom.
Absolutely.
Like boom.
Absolutely.
You gotta wake up, mate. You gotta wake up, mate. Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Even though, because here's the thing. I always feel this guilt.
Right.
You always have this guilt. You reach a point in adulthood in life where you feel guilty about not doing anything or just not achieving or accomplishing, right? So in my head, before the conversation, I was accomplishing and I was doing and I was
Right.
taking steps forward. And then this guy tells me about this opportunity that I've been so blind to. Completely blows my mind away. And then it made me feel like I haven't done anything at all.
Right.
So yeah, needless to say, yani, that was my first impression of crypto. That yani, it's kind of the same principle that you're following in making decisions.
True. Very true.
Talking at a base level, it's the same decision making process that you have to go through to get into lucrative positions or do something lucrative with your time. So yeah, that was how I got introduced to crypto, and yani, the rest is just personal effort and a lot of money lost and gained.
Lost and gained.
Yeah, lost and gained.
I like that. I like when you really define that it's not win-win situation all the time, though you have to lose at certain point in order to get win and in order to get learn. And I don't really say that as a lose, to be honest. I would say it like it's an investment. It's something. It's never a lose for me. It's an opportunity to learn. Actually,
exactly.
That's what I guess.
That's I mean, that's kind of important, because when you get to statistics, people a lot of people talk about the statistic in financial markets, saying that 90% of retail traders, as in you and me and someone who's not affiliated with a financial institute, they say 90% of retail traders lose their money trading markets. I like to think of it as 90% of people give up before they find the suitable solution for them to be trading markets. Because this is an analogy I like to throw around quite a lot anytime anyone asks me about financial markets and trading. I tell them, think about it the same way you think about any sporting or team sport. Not in the sense that you're going to be working with anyone. Think of it as in, let's take football, for example. We know there's multiple positions in football.
Right.
And we know that a person can have predestined attributes that make them good at certain positions.
True.
So if you're a relatively smaller person, you're more likely to be faster.
Right.
A faster runner, a faster sprinter. So most likely you'll end up playing a forward position or an attacking position. If you're a bigger build or you're sturdy, more likely you're going to be put on defense or goalkeeping. So that's how I see it with the financial markets. It's all about the same attributes that would place you on a soccer field, would place you as a trader in the markets, because you would have the day trader, the scalper, the investor, the long-term holders. So you could be playing different roles.
Nice.
And the key to finding success is not copying someone, because at the end of the day, you're different people.
Right.
So
you have to be authentic.
Exactly. You have to do something that's according to your risk tolerance, your psychological stress tolerance, and everything that suits you as a human before you're a trader.
True.
I can't be someone who's staring at charts for 8 hours a day.
Right.
Let's say. But someone else can be. So that means I cannot be a good scalper, for example, and that person has the opportunity to be a good scalper.
Right.
So similarly, you just really have to find your place in the market.
And how do you define yourself? Now, you have said that, but how can you define really what's really suitable or best for you in that sense?
You have to lose money.
So the game is like lose to gain.
Lose to learn.
Well, yes,
and then learn to gain.
Of course.
You have to try everything. You don't have to try everything, but you have to be willing to try everything, is my point. You have to be willing to lose money. Put money where your beliefs are. So if you believe you're a good investor and you can make good decisions on the longer term, put your money where your mouth is, because no matter how that trade goes, you come out on top. And here's how that happens. If you're right about your trade, then now you have gained confidence that you know what you're doing.
Right.
Kind of.
True.
To a certain level. And that will give you a sort of outlook in, okay, I did some things right about this trade. And maybe this is a point of strength. And if the trade goes wrong, in the other case, then, well, if you have an ego, it's going to get shattered. So that's one thing I consider to be more important than the learning experience itself, because ego is what makes people lose ultimately.
Mm.
So you get a reality check, first of all. Second of all, you have a real life case study where you can review and revise all the steps you have taken to make your decisions, which ultimately ended up being an incorrect one or a losing
But
decision.
don't you think sometimes things can't be measured, or things outside your control? Like,
Absolutely.
for one reason or another, sometimes even if you did all this homework thing, right? But something in the market that pops up the market or pull it down one way or another. I don't know, some war going on and US dollars go down. I don't know, this kind of correlation could happen with anything.
Absolutely.
What can you do in that?
I personally broadcast the message that you should not be trading any kind of geopolitical tension, any kind of major event. That's not something I would advise everyone to do. I advise the beginners, the amateurs, to be doing that, because I'm not going to say 9 times out of 10. I'm going to say 10 times out of 10, and this is controversial, but I like being controversial, and
Nice.
I welcome any discussion or argument to prove me wrong.
Of course.
So yeah, 10 out of 10 times the aforementioned dramatic move or piece of news or event that's happening around the world has been predetermined on the charts themselves. Because think of it on this scope. You and me are retailers. We have no insider sources of information. We have no real, let's say we have no real commitment to the markets. I could exit the market today and it wouldn't make a difference. But you have these giant, for example, let's say trust funds, the Federal Reserve of America, the SEC, these giant financial institutions. So these giant financial institutions that are, in a way, impinging on how they're like how they would measure success or failure, to them as a company, as a corporation, as a CFO, as someone who's responsible for investments, relies on navigating the markets. These people leave nothing up to chance. So 10 times out of 10, if something huge is about to happen geopolitically or just nationally, worldwide, whatever is going to happen, people already know about it. The people who matter have already moved their money. And if you can't find a way to detect these movements, then you're better off not trading.
Right.
So that's the whole entire piece of advice that I give to people. But the last part is the one I broadcast actively, because most people are unfamiliar with these narratives generally. So it's unless you can follow or keep up with the people who matter, you shouldn't be trading geopolitical tensions. Simple as that.
Nice. And one, if I remember that there was a story. I don't know. I don't really recall it very well, but I remember that story with the power of influence. More specifically, I would say it's Elon Musk. There was one time there was a big question for him, and that specific moment they were asking them about I wouldn't say bad currency or shit currency. They were saying about the name of currency, like Shiba or something like that.
Shiba, yeah.
Something like you know better about, of course. And that specific moment, I guess the price just dropped down, and it's like, the people really reacted so fast when the news of all this tweet came up to the people.
Absolutely, yeah. We don't discredit the fact that you can have unpredictable or absolutely unforeseen events in the market, such as the dump that happened on Shiba. But there is a line in the sand that must be drawn here, and that's to speak about the legitimacy of the coin itself. So I'm not saying Shiba is a scam or anything like that, but if you would round up the major investors in Shiba and compare them to the major investors in Ethereum or Bitcoin or whatever, other coins are there that are providing some kind of utility. You would find that you have a very different class of people, you would find that there's a lot of يعني, well, first of all, you wouldn't find a whale, so to speak, that's as big as an Ethereum whale on Shiba, as in holding the same amount of or value of money in the said token. And this, I believe, is not due to the coin or token being bad or being anything. It's just that when you have a project that's not as serious or as objective oriented as something like Ethereum, Solana, Avalanche, or what have you, you get holders and investors, because we treat them the same way in crypto. It's the same kind of thing. You get investors or holders that are present without conviction. And what I mean by that is that these holders are very likely to make unpredictable moves
for their own good.
Yeah. So when you have something that is primarily benefiting or functioning or publicizing itself using viral marketing techniques such as Shiba and Doge and Floki and all of these coins, instead of providing a real utility, you have to understand they're attracting a very specific kind of investor. And they're not looking for the Elon Musks, the Mark Cubans, the Mr. Wonderfuls, the people who are willing to put their money where it actually is put to work. They're just trying to attract that 90% of the retailers that lose, because they're easy to fool. They don't know how to manage these situations. So I credit that event with Elon Musk to this fact in particular, and nothing else. It's because this happened on a token with holders or investors with no convictions. No one had a conviction with Shiba. You'd ask the average Shiba holder or investor, okay, why do you hold this token? They'll probably say something like to the moon, something that's going to make me 200x. Some things that just don't make sense. But let's take the same line of thinking and apply it to something like Solana, for example. If Elon Musk were to say, I don't hold a single Solana token, which is another currency, obviously. So if he said, I don't hold a single Solana token, would it have seen the same drop? Absolutely not. It could have seen maybe a 2, 3, 4% drop at most. But the project is solid. The investors are solid. The people even who are waiting on the sidelines to get involved, to get a position on this project, they're going to eat that 4% up in a matter of minutes.
So you mean to say they will take the advantage of that
absolutely.
drop, actually?
Even if it does drop unexpectedly, it will come back just as fast.
Due to the fact of their...
Because it's an absolutely solid project. And they have investors with convictions. They have investors with proper knowledge. They know where they're putting their money.
Interesting. And how... This is the question pops up to my mind. How did you differentiate between solid coin and not solid coin? Like imagine yourself now, just to give more understanding. So based on what criteria for you? Of course, you again, this is in this podcast, we are not influencing people to do what, instead of to inspire them or to give them an idea how to do it correctly, or how to do a proper research before do a certain move, how to do your homework correctly. So in that sense, how can you differentiate between two projects?
So here's the thing. When I first entered the crypto markets, there was a slew and a barrage of meme shitcoins that are being made on the daily. You had, on average, 50 to 100 coins would be created and listed and then rug pulled and basically went to zero. So what helps me differentiate between a good project and a bad project is that during that time, I took part in a lot of these operations that had to do with creating tokens and doing stuff like that.
You mean in Bahrain?
No, not specifically.
Okay.
No, not specifically. But I did have some kind of work experience in that field.
Mm.
And aside from that, I was trading it myself. So I got to see a lot of the front end, let's say, and the back end
Mm.
of the assets that are, questionable
Right.
or we're suspicious of, to say the least. So I got to see the front end and the back end, and in my mind, sort of a template formulated for what these tokens look like. And yeah, it's like you said, there's a criteria now for what is a good token and what isn't a good token.
Mm.
Obviously, I have a bias in where I would put my money. Now, this is a point where people get confused.
Mm.
There can be such a thing as a good token, which I do not want to put my money into.
Mm.
That doesn't mean it's a bad coin or a shit coin or what have you. But there's a good opportunity, there's a better opportunity. So it's just along the same lines of that. With that being said, shit coins are not at all a bad opportunity to make money.
Oh.
But just know that it's not a fair fight, and it was designed to make you lose. So, I mean, good luck. If you want to do that, good luck. Have fun. Don't lose too much money. And yeah, exposure is the number one thing that teaches you about this stuff. You have to get into the projects, to get case studies about the things that have succeeded.
Mm.
Things that were not meant to succeed but succeeded. Just look at all kinds of factors. I was lucky enough to get a back-end experience on multiple projects that looked like that.
Right. You actually told me about that, right?
Mm.
Like you've been really a really key player, or one of the key players in two major currencies here in Bahrain, but then you felt it's not for you. It's not made for you. You think that, well, I gotta go outside. I gotta do
Yeah.
my own things.
Well, first of all, it was one currency in Bahrain.
Okay.
And the other one was
International.
online working, basically.
Okay, got it.
But yeah, I saw these things. I saw these things up close, and
Wow,
I
that's
was,
really interesting.
yeah. I worked on the back end of those things, and yeah, needless to say, I had a little bit more of a it's weird semantics, just trying to put it together. I had a little bit more of a vision that was cemented in reality, let's say, versus something that's pure fiction and fantasy.
Nice.
So yeah, that's how I put it. That was my experience. So I decided to just that it wasn't the time, it wasn't the right environment or atmosphere in the country to be involved with such a thing.
Okay. And does this help you a lot into understanding the mechanism of the whole process of the tokens?
In a way, yes, and in a way, no, because the thing is about crypto, it can be
It's
so
different
versatile.
it's different from Bahrain to, I don't know.
Absolutely,
right.
Absolutely, and that's attributed mainly to how versatile it can be. So you can have a token that does something for gaming, or you can have a token that does something for just boring old cloud storage systems. Needless to say, and each project will have a completely different set of team.
True.
So yeah, in the sense that the companies I worked with, it was more about administrative teams, let's say, and business development teams.
Okay.
And the most part, more than technical, because come to find out, most of the technical development work is outsourced.
No.
Yeah. So
is it safe?
In some cases they say it's safe, in some cases it's not. Yeah, it's a gamble, let's say.
It's true. Imagine you are giving someone coding of doing something very important for you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, founded in reality versus fantasy and fiction.
I like that. I like that. It's super dope. It's like it's melting. It's really melting, and it's like the cheesy thing on it, right?
Yeah. So
interesting.
So yeah, these experiences, yeah, they're I mean, I got to see a lot of the inner workings of some projects. I wouldn't say important projects, but I would say some interesting projects. And some of this is even documented on my page on Instagram, where I post a few things. So yeah.
So now it's really interesting to know a little bit of your background into establishing your knowledge and your experiences throughout all these experiences. Though you've been working online, you've been working in Bahrain, and like you said, in back-end company. But if I would sum up all this experience into what makes you go outside there and do your own thing, like you open up your Instagram, I guess you don't keep it as a personal account, you crypto.majlis, and then what was the real aim for it? I believe this was after you left that job.
Yes. So I started the page after I had left the industrial workspace itself. I stopped looking for jobs in the industry. And I decided my knowledge, my experience, my skills, let's say, were better put as just a content creator for the topic itself. There's a very weird system of exploitation that is in effect here when you find someone with a certain set of skills. To good means, I do not mind. You can use whatever skill set I have. I'm all yours. But to other means, I would prefer not to be involved whatsoever.
Right.
So in a time where I had to sit down and really compare the average level of knowledge in people, yani Bahraini people, the locals, about the space in general, and that versus the reality and how things are going in the space as a whole. In a way, it was like that Spider-Man kind of moment where you think to yourself, with great power comes great responsibility.
Right, let's do it. Let's have corporate social responsibility for the people.
Kind of, yeah. So I had this kind of like social responsibility.
Zorro, basically. Zorro of the...
Kind of. That was the beginning of Crypto Majlis. And then there was a lot of encouragement, obviously, by my peers and some other influencers in the space itself, like Crypto GCC, Mohammed Salama, shout out, by the way. He really got me properly started on my page. I have to thank that guy for a lot of things.
Thank you, Mohammed.
Mohammed Salama, Crypto _GCC, the king of crypto in the GCC. So yeah, him and alongside a lot of close people to me were telling me, you should be sharing the kind of information you have. You should be sharing the kind of experience you have. And I did that, and I got an amazing response from the community. I got amazing responses from the community, and even at this level, I got up to about 5,000 followers, just short of 5,000 followers. I know that's not much, but I'm still humbled, by the amount of following, because that number of people, locally are listening to me speak and voice my mind about different things and different opinions that I have. It prompted me to do a little bit more of persona type presentation, content creation thing on my page, where it was all serious, and it was like, Crypto Majlis, and this like for English speaking people, Majlis is Arabic for council,
right?
So it was supposed to sound serious and very formal and things, and then the corresponding persona came completely opposite to that, and you get this like sarcastic cynic who's just critiquing markets day and night.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was mostly how the social media page got rolling, and I'm still learning. This is not. I realize I'm far from a peak or far from optimal performance, let's say, or even the way my content is being presented is not optimal still. I realize that, so I'm taking my time. At the end of the day, I do this because it's more of a hobby. It's something I do in my spare time, and something that could be potentially very useful for a lot of people.
Sure.
So there's a lot of experimentation going on. There's a lot of let's say unwanted controversy and really testing the limits of my followers. But it goes to show, I'm not here to provide any kind of content at the end of the day.
Advise them.
And no, we don't advise people. I don't advise people on my page to be doing anything. I mean, you can obviously on my page it's called the council, but I didn't mean council as in like an authority or anything. I just meant council as in in the Arabic term as in majlis,
Right.
Get
The
together,
gathering. The people with the same interests. Same thing.
So I have multiple pathways, let's say, for people to communicate with me directly, and a lot of people do on a daily basis. I have a Discord channel, I have a Telegram, and I answer my DMs actively.
Nice.
So a lot of people get to communicate with me one-on-one, and I wouldn't say I advise them on how to be managing their investments or money or anything, but I try to help them find their way in navigating their markets. Obviously free of charge, and it's not a paid service or anything. It's just about helping the community reach their goals. It's about helping people do the most they can.
Right. And if I would ask you this question, Ahmed, now you said yourself after there has been changes over time, over the course, when you created a Crypto Majlis. And there's, like you say, there's things that has been said, but then you find it, I need to change them, it's not updated. Now, the question is, when you position yourself in Bahrain market as one of the expert in this field, how did you cope with the updating, or how did you cope with the information? As I believe that you said it just now that this is, you do it as your spare time. So of course you work full time as architect, as we taught. Yeah. So in this spare time, how do you ensure that the information that you are saying at the moment is up to date, and how do you cope with those changes? I mean to say, as you mentioned earlier of this podcast, that there be lots of coins that coming every second, and lots of a project, and all of these things, and all of this, like, it feels like, as you mentioned, the space. I like it when you just use that terminology, space. The space is keep on changing. So how do you cope with that change, and how you can make sure that the information you said is correct? Again, because you had a corporate social responsibility to the people, that some people just like me as a user or as a listener, I'd like to get, I will follow you in order to get information or to get valid data.
That's a simple process. The way I function around that is extremely simple, and it can be summarized to one thing. It's that I limit the information that I post and talk about to strictly lucrative things. So what I think is lucrative, and I say this shamelessly on my channel, is that if I don't think something is lucrative, I will just not talk about it. I will not talk about it. At the end of the day, I'm not someone who's going to tell you, no, I have a passion for cryptocurrency and coding and fintech and the future of finance and all of that. I don't come from that background. I'm here for the money. I'm here as a trader, and I'm here to make money, and I'm here to trade for the money. So if something to me doesn't make sense, why would I pay attention to something that is, making people lose their minds for a 1%, 2% move? When you can talk about something that is potentially a lot bigger than that, or a method, for example, not just an asset, just a method that's a lot more profitable for you as an investor or trader. So in that sense, I just post information and sources that are relevant to that equation. That being said, I don't mind or care about being the person to deliver the news to you, the first person to say something. You know what I mean? Everyone was running left, front, right and center, and China banned mining. everyone was running, absolutely running, sprinting to deliver that piece of information. They wanted a legitimate source, a URL link to the website, to the article, to someone who officially said it from official. So everyone's trying to find these super hype current events to report on, and I would just skip forward from that to, okay, well, what does that mean for my investments?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So you would come to my page on the day, for example, that China banned Bitcoin. You would come to my page and you'd find a story saying that instead of it saying, oh, China has banned Bitcoin for the 10th time this minute, which is a joke, by the way. So they've banned it for the 10th time this year, for example. Instead of you finding a post that looks like that, the post would say, so China banned Bitcoin again. Here's what I'm doing.
Alternative.
Exactly. Here's what I'm doing. Here are the positions I'm going to be taking. Here's the potential opportunities I'm going to be looking at. So I skip over that stuff. I mean, if you're involved in the space, chances are you have a base level of knowledge about what's going on.
Right.
You don't need me to be telling you the same thing 5 other people are telling you. You know?
Exactly.
But not everyone is going to come up and tell you about what they're doing with their money or how you should be thinking about moving your money around.
True.
And this is something I pride myself upon. Because I think because here's the thing, when you're a trader and you talk about trading, this is something only trading influencers or page content creators know this. When you're a trader and a content creator simultaneously, obviously your trades are your content.
True.
Which is something you as a content creator realize you are judged by your content primarily.
True.
So if my content is meant, let's emphasize and put 2 big red circles on that meant word. If my content is meant to make you profitable or help you make money, and you do not make money or lose money worse, then you have relative criteria to judge me.
Right.
You can say, oh, this guy gave me bad advice or bad financial advice, or pushed me into doing the wrong thing or wrong decision. So to me, I post my decisions and I put these things because I am 100% convicted with those things. If I tell someone on my story or I tell someone personally, no, مثلا I'm buying this asset today, now at this price, tomorrow in a week when this happens, I'm doing this, I stick to that 100%, and I am putting my money where my mouth is. So people come up and tell me, for example, no, your trade was wrong, or we took your signal and we lost money. I will say I proudly announce and proclaim that none of the trades I have shared or trade ideas or investment ideas that I've shared have been losing. And I have a specific account which I keep track of and live stream day trades from, which proves it, and I have never lost a trade on that account.
Sorry. So you basically go on live while you're doing these trades? So
sometimes, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Sometimes.
So you don't only influence people or update people and keep updating them and other. You're also doing it in front of them, like,
yes,
hey guys,
yeah,
let's do that.
On multiple occasions I've done that. When I find that I have the time and mental capacity to be day trading, I will host a 1 hour, 2 hour live where I'm day trading, and you can see me put in my orders and take my profits and do all of those nice things.
And that something to drain your energy, I guess.
It's extremely stressful because not presenting it to the people, because presenting it to the people is relatively comforting, let's say. So I'm not going to say it's easy. It's comforting when you're doing something and you have people who got your back, because I know my followers got my back. Nice. Even if I lose a trade, which hasn't happened yet, alhamdulillah, my followers are going to be like, hey, go get them next time, or it's fine, these things happen. So it's nice when you have that kind of community behind you, but at the same time, don't make that mistake. Just don't make that mistake. The stress of making that mistake is what drains your energy the most. Which is why, again, back to the point, and I only share ideas that I am 100% absolutely sure of, to the point where I put my money on my decisions and opinions that I'm broadcasting.
Based on that information that you...
I do make other trades and other decisions where I don't share, and I only refuse to share them because I'm not 100% sure of them.
Right.
You know, and that's a lot more problematic, because even when I put out trades that were 100% sure, people still lost money
Right.
somehow, mismanaging or whatever. Yeah, whatever can happen. So yeah.
Nice. It's actually, I can't really think of, but there's really great question in my mind right now. Did you get a negative impact when you created Crypto Majlis? So is there someone where there just like, you know, you're a piece of a crab, how can we trust you?
Oh my god. Yes,
how could we do like if you could share with us, it would be funny, like.
Yeah, absolutely. You know this as a content creator.
Who are you to tell us what to do? Or who do you think you are?
Absolutely.
To come up here.
And this is funny, because my usual response to this kind of comment is, I didn't tell you to follow me, man. You know, no one told you to come and follow me, Tara. You can be an open-minded person and look for someone who could potentially benefit you in a way. Or you could be a skeptic about anything and everything and live a miserable life. You know what I mean? So this is my response to anyone who came up to me and you know, attacked me in that way, is that كيفك. You know, كيفك. You trading does not pour money or take money out of my account. You know what I mean? So I could care less what you think of me, because I know my content is good. I know I'm talking about the things that matter, and I know I've attracted the correct audience for my channel. So in my opinion, these people don't matter. The stories I've gotten were for people. Here's the funny thing. The most hate I've gotten, and the absolute most hate I have gotten for my page was me commenting or refusing to comment, more like refusing to comment on a specific project, which I have made, let's say, negative comment about previously, and got a lot of backlash for. And I just had to come to a point where I realized there's a difference between someone who disagrees but wants to listen versus someone who disagrees but doesn't want to listen.
Right.
So the backlash was real about that. The backlash was telling me that I am someone who is a hater publicly, that someone who is primarily, my mode of operation on Crypto Majlis was to destroy and denounce and you know, like defame projects. You know, according to, I've been called someone who, yani, weird enough, I've never advertised for any project, token, currency, or what have you. But so I've been accused of doing that. And I was like, well, where's your proof? Have you ever seen any kind of...
Well, you got my
advertisements?
like that.
I don't know, yani. You get accused of weird things, and it's... It doesn't bother me, yani. Honestly, I don't pay it any attention, because... I mean, it's my page, and I don't even, honestly speaking, I don't even take my page that seriously. Like, I come up on this platform and I voice my opinions in a serious manner, obviously. But I'm not someone who's going to walk around wearing a badge saying, oh, this is...
Crypto Majlis, boy,
VIP
let's
Crypto
go.
Majlis, you know, اضرب تحية أول ما تشوفها. I don't care about that. I don't care. I don't care if my page goes to 0 tomorrow. I couldn't care less. I mean, I've done what I can, and I've shared my experience and knowledge. You know, life takes its course at the end of the day.
Interesting.
And you know, as long as it's my hobby and I'm doing it, I'm still trading. My page disappears, I'm still trading. I'm not going to lose that. So, you know, it's not a big deal.
It is for some people, actually, and I understand that. But don't you think that those negative or haters, sometimes it drain your motivation or drain your, like for example, if I would be you, if I would keep myself into your shoes, and I've been accused really not on the things I'm doing, and instead of something I have not done even. Now, how would I positioning myself to my real followers? Maybe my real followers saw that hate and was like, whoa, these guys are striking you.
Mm.
But are we really confident enough that Ahmed is the right guy to say the right thing? Don't you think that those negativity can destroy or can change the outlook of the people or what the people think of you?
Well, here's the thing. I noticed in your library you have a very interesting book, Zain, and that's the 48 Laws of Power.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
of course. Shout out to
Yeah.
Robert Greene,
Hey,
by the
Robert
way.
Greene. Hey,
Power
that's
is just there, by the way. I
Hey.
didn't finish it yet, so it's like So first I start with power,
Okay.
and then of course, sorry, not power. Power is here. I
Hey.
mean the mystery. I never spoke about
Okay.
these topics before, but now
Okay.
I'm reading Mystery of Robert Greene, which is
Wow.
really dangerous book. It hasn't.
This is even more dangerous. This book
Yes.
is way more dangerous, my man.
Yes.
Way more dangerous.
True.
And just taking my example, Zain. So this book essentially, if you don't know what this book is, this book teaches you all about the nasty tricks and things you can do to manipulate people and get them to do what you want.
Honestly, I'm really, really sorry.
Yeah.
I never done that. All my guests. Imagine, you know what? This is the first time one of my guests actually have a deep look into my books. I thought nobody cares about them. Like, why you put all these books there? And it's the first time. And believe it or not, this is the book. And thanks to shout out to Matham, of course. He was the one who advised me to read it. And imagine, I still remember that the first day I opened it, the first 5-6 pages I read of Mastery, I was like, I have to go to buy the power.
The next
yes,
one. You
exactly.
have to. You absolutely have to.
Man. Like,
my man. This is gold. This is gold right here. This is, people don't understand. Yeah. So yeah, this book teaches you a lot about people,
right?
Specifically, and going back to the topic, speaking about people defaming you or ruining your image for your followers. There's a certain importance and unimportance that you should be placing on people who are, let's not say negative people or haters or whatever. Let's say people who oppose you.
Right.
There's a certain level of importance and unimportance to bestow upon each respective category. And sometimes, this is how I like to think about it, sometimes there's a good mental balance to maintain between a public spanking and execution versus a complete disregard and ignoring of someone. So I have had some incidents where someone came up to me and was talking a lot of negativity and hatred and stuff like that in the comments, or not comments, the DMs, messages. And I made it a mission upon myself to, fully, as to the best of my ability, just have a sensible, logical discussion with this person, and then post the results on my story afterwards.
Oh. That's interesting.
So even when I'm accused of something or when I'm being slandered for whatever, people can without leaving anything up to their imagination and what would Ahmed say in this situation? What would Ahmed reply or say to this? So no, I wouldn't leave that to their imagination. I just put my conversation, whatever happened between me and that guy, post the whole thing.
Nice.
Post the whole thing. So you know exactly how I would respond to such a situation. And I have to say, this situation has happened quite a few times.
Absolutely.
It has happened quite a few times, and this is the best way I know how to deal with it.
True.
So I just publicize the occurrence itself, and then publicize your response or your reaction to that event specifically. And that's one aspect of it. And the other aspect is to quote Robert Greene out of his book, specifically saying, only the jester can tell the truth in the court of the king.
Right.
Zain. Which to some degree is why I keep a sarcastic, cynical persona on my account. It's because I want to have the freedom. I want to have the freedom to say whatever I want and to express whatever views and opinions I have. At the end of the day, يعني, I'm not an organization, I'm not a company, I have no obligation to be, let's say, sugarcoating anything or playing along with anyone. And I will forever refuse to be that person. If you know me on any kind of level, you know that's the kind of person I am. So yeah, I just keep this clear distinction in mind. Whenever things like this come up, I have to keep this in mind. I have to operate on these very primitive, clear rules.
Interesting. Very interesting. Now, we covered lots about trading, and we, for the benefit of the guest, of course, shout out to Ahmed, of course, again and again, and do follow him, and do, of course, if you want to know more about trading and to get started, the best guy I would recommend for you to follow and to get the best out of him. And of course, he's giving the best out of it. But now I had a question. We spoke about the space. We have not touched about mining. That's interesting thing. I would love to hear from you as an expert in this field. And what do you think of mining? Because the only thing, honestly, and I'll say this in public, the only thing which I was thinking to had such topics is that there was infusion with the people. Like, for example, now I would love to go trading, or I would go for mining crypto. Now, if I go to these influencers, it is very hard to find the right person to take advice of or to listen to. And especially if you open YouTube, you're gonna be more miserable. You need somebody, from your town, somebody who understands these trends. And at the same time, I had this chance. I had spoke with many friends, and guess what? Some of them, they said boring people will mine, and some people would say no. The people who love to lose their money and live in a circle of ups and downs will go for trade. The real people is actually the trade. I mean, the mining.
The miners.
And to some extent, I did not think of that, and I was like, let me really dig. And when I realized that, and I started really questioning some people, I realized that the mining is not an easy thing, and it requires lots of equipment and lots of validation. I mean, like special ACs and validation machine,
humidity control, maintenance, dust control, all of that.
That is really expensive. It's not cheap as well. So
absolutely,
what's your thoughts as an expert in this field?
Well, to begin with, I wouldn't say I'm an expert on mining by any means. But being in the space itself, I did have a lot of exposure to mining and miners and mining companies and the likes. So let me just start by saying this. If this is something, people should pay close attention to this.
Right.
If me, when I started out investing and doing my work with crypto, had I had the capital, to afford a proper, lucrative, usable, proper rig, mining device, mining machine, mining setup, I would have definitely, absolutely, 100% gone for mining. Absolutely. And not just because it's easy, or because mining is a long-term plan. And this is ultimately what I'm trying to build. However, it's your capital, your starting point makes all the difference when it comes to mining. Because you're gonna spend a lot, and you're gonna spend a lot of time waiting for you to break even and all of those things. At the end of the day, you're gonna make money. You're gonna make money the easy, hassle-free way, no headaches, no analysis, no charts. You don't even need to know what Bitcoin is doing at any point in time. Just mine and wait. So that comes to that's about why I'm not mining, or I'm just someone who, to put things very honestly, I'm not a patient person specifically. So I'm not gonna buy a mining device at the top, wait to break even, and then look to my profits. That's one thing, and then there's the other thing that you can have whatever opinion outlook you want about the space itself. But it all comes down to, again, the thing I said in the beginning is what kind of person are you, and what kind of risk tolerance do you have? Some people can afford to blow 10,000, 20,000 BD into a mining setup or a mining farm all at once. Some people can't afford even the most basic mining device.
Right.
So the line in the sand, or the glass ceiling that people are trying to impose on this whole topic, is that this is better than that. No. This in your case was better for you. That's how I see it. In your case, this is better for you. And for many people, this is how it is. I know people who simultaneously mine and trade. Some people who have massive setups for mining, and they take their daily returns and trade it straight to the market.
Oh.
And that, to them, that is their optimal, best strategy to be doing or following. There's no singular best option for anyone, but there is a base level of convenience and feasibility, for you as a person to be attempting this venture. Or now, am I going to start mining, investing, trading? What am I going to do with my money? And this to me is again, I tell everyone this all the time, and even the people who come on my Discord and Telegram and tell me, no, I have this amount of money, should I be trading or doing what? I sometimes do advise people to be mining instead of trading. When I see that someone, for example, is not as interested or capable of navigating a financial market specifically. That's not someone you want to be telling to actively involve into a trading experience. You could tell someone who's, for example, someone who's at the age of my aunts or uncles or parents even. These guys at that age will not sit down and learn what technical or fundamental analysis is unless it was part of their job. So go to them. In most cases they have some money tied up and they can afford to start something with it. Just tell them, hey, you can do mining. Hassle free, set it up, makes you money. Khalas. Everything's going for you. And in the case that you're talking to a student, tight budget, big mind, big appetite for knowledge, big appetite for new skills.
Sure.
And you can easily guide someone like that into trading. That's with a limited capital. What's he gonna buy as a mining device? Nothing.
Exactly. It's really great for you to say that because, as you mentioned, with limited, I like when I specifically say limited.
You have to account for all your resources, your mental resource, your money resource. Account for everything, and then position yourself in a way that is best for you, and that's all it is.
Interesting. Now, if we would wrap up the whole thing about you and your inshallah rocking Instagram page, which I really hope, and by the way, you said something in the beginning when you were talking about that I had not touched upon, which was that when you mentioned about the numbers of followers, which I disagree with you, to be honest. I have to stop you here because numbers are not meant anything.
Absolutely.
You can jump, there's lots of people got fame and their videos go viral for doing nothing. You have many cases around the globe. I wouldn't say Bahrain, around the globe, just for a specific or some silly thing, they would be really, really famous. So having that numbers is something you should really proud of, by the way, because for you it's a specific niche.
Yes,
it is something that not all people are interested of, especially crypto. And when I say crypto, as I said, of course haters will come. Just anyone who disagree with you, they will consider you as an enemy. I really find that because it feels like, in Bahrain, and the reason why I brought you here honestly is that feels like it is very draining to find the suitable influencers to give the correct information, which I have to dig and find some such caliber like you in order to give more of understanding. So to give this to the people back, what piece of advice you would give for amateur or beginner into this
Mhm.
field? Like, for example, imagine now I have a hustle free. I don't know nothing
Mhm.
about you. So what's the first thing I would do?
Mhm.
Crypto.majlis, follow, and then
Well, first of all, follow Crypto Majlis, and then come on my Telegram, come to my Discord, talk to me. We can figure out something that's suitable for you. Otherwise, it's exactly as I've been saying this entire podcast. It's all about accounting for your resources, understanding what things you're good at, what things you're not so good at, and getting yourself into a position where you can benefit financially. I mean, it's as simple as that. And in many cases, for a lot of people, this may not be trading altogether, or may not be crypto even. You could be someone who is badass at running shops, or finding fashion, or what have you, whatever it is. So it's I mean, that's the single best advice I can tell you. Crypto is amazing, and you can make a lot of money, and you can make all this and that, and some guy put $1,000 and now it's $1 million. You'll hear a lot about this, but there's an equally devastating side to crypto as there is in the glorifying side of success stories and flukes. People just don't talk about it because it's not something that anyone wants to hear. No, someone lost money. What do I care? It's not amazing. It's not entertaining. Unless you hear about someone who went from 100 to 0, then you would read it, for the laughs and what's happened to this guy. I have to know. So yeah, find out what your strengths are. Find out what you're extremely resilient at, and just work on that. Yani, if you're a very hard-headed and work to the bone type of person, maybe you're a good scalper. And maybe that's gonna be like the money-making machine for you on the day. So yeah, just find your points of strengths, work on them, feed into them. Don't waste your time on weaknesses. Just focus on whatever you're good at, and you'll find a way. You'll get there.
Interesting. Now, there was something I wanted to ask you actually, and where do you see yourself in, let's say, in 5 years' time from now? What do you want to accomplish? If I would say to you, I will show you this exact podcast after 5 years, no matter you win or lose, what do you want to accomplish as a person? What's really, what do you want to reach as a full potential within this time?
Well, speaking in terms of Crypto Majlis itself, I would just like to be at a point where I'm some kind of reference, for information, for what have you. That being said, I'm not looking to become any kind of educational platform or academy or anything of the sort. It's just about just a place you come to when you just want to make money. You want to make money, you come here. You want to monetize yourself and monetize your time, you're going to come to me. You're going to come to Crypto Majlis. You're going to see other people doing the stuff that you want to be doing, and find a community where everyone is just swimming. Nice. Where everyone is swimming forward.
And is that in Bahrain? Let me ask you this question now. Is that in Bahrain now? Is it the hub of collaborators of Crypto Majlis, or do you have other groups? Like, for example, now, speaking of this, I was, for example, now a member of Toastmasters, right? So during the Toastmasters, there would be, for example, annual event where all these people will come to same place where we talk, where there is, for example, annual context, these kind of things. And just to understand what kind of crypto community because you mentioned in the beginning of the podcast with Mr. Muhammad, you said shout out to Muhammad, and you say his name crypto. That's what I heard, like
Crypto GCC, man.
Crypto GCC. you know it sounds because you are used to it, by the way. When you say Crypto GCC, man, Crypto GCC, I don't know Crypto GCC. Absolutely. Like, you know what I mean?
Crypto GCC,
so what kind of collaboration or what kind of community are you and your peers in the same field are doing for the people, or gathering, or what sort of?
Well, I mean, as I said before, the name Majlis was chosen for the reason of collaboration and inviting.
That's you.
yeah, having the doors open for anyone and everyone. But and in the recent months, I have met most of the crypto influencers here in Bahrain. We all share the same, let's say, vision, community-wise, because
Interesting.
we realize and recognize that people are a little bit lost, kind of don't know what they're doing, just following the most popular piece of advice floating. Um, so we're just trying to be a community where I mean, we share what kind of things benefit us, what kind of things benefit others. So I would love for there to be any kind of collaboration that's cross borders, international. But يعني we're still sorting out things on the island هنا في البحرين first to begin with, so that we can have a strong following to bring along with us on the journey when we start to collaborate and move international means. But yeah, we're definitely trying to build into that. We want to build into an international community, a kind of a voice for the crypto investors, crypto traders in Bahrain. I mean, it's not just something you do for money. At the end of the day, it's
Of course,
it's about the community.
I respect that. I respect that you always having to think of what can I give to the people, what can I give more to them. Maybe this piece of advice that they're literally in need for, maybe to solve their life issues, to do some, not specifically trading, but yes, into the sense of helping others. I really don't to such, and I don't think lots of collaborators or creators are focusing on that much, honestly. Like, in my opinion, is they just use their fame into what they want to do. Last example, which I was really, really proud of, and I felt it that, hold on 1 second, where's the other influencers? At that specific point. And of course, here in Bahrain, we know that who I'm talking about. Of course, I'm meaning to say about another guy. Of course, you know him. But and outside, if you heard of the story of, there was one YouTuber, he's called Abu Falla or something like that. And that genius really changed my perspective, that where are the influencers who should have the power of their followers? Why don't they, of course, everybody has his own reasons. He may be like a personal persona that he does not want to show these things. But again, the sense of helping, I feel like those days are very rare to see. You don't find that people want to give more to the community. And it is, for me, I feel that it is limited to the people who does not have much of influence. Once the people reach to the influence level that they can really influence people, you might see them hinder from doing such thing. I don't know if you agree with me or not, but that's what I feel.
No, I do agree on that, but I feel like that's something that comes in time with desensitizing yourself, because you're so exposed to the community that when you set out to provide community beneficial content, you start out of a place where you're thinking I should be helping people, and I should be providing this kind of service to people, no matter the means. But then the thing that desensitizes you towards that is the amount of negativity and just negative response in general. I don't mean negative as in like someone just talking mad things in my DMs or whatever. That's even unresponsiveness or lack of engagement is a negative in my opinion.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know what I mean? So the negativity sometimes overwhelms people, because I can tell you the story. For example, when I first started Crypto Majlis, I had this giveaway. And I gave away 3 things. Then I gave away $100 of XRP, and I gave away a mining device. Then, so even in the, I'll be honest. I mean, you do those things for followers, because it was one of those things where it's like, comment, share, more, share
like
this,
follow
comment that.
and mention your
like
friend.
this post, mention your friends, this and that. You enter the raffle. It was in hopes of gaining more
Followers.
Followers and engagements.
Mm.
So the followers and engagements I got out of that was, ironically angled in the same way, because the people who came to me were like, okay, well, how is this page going to make me money? And I was like, wait, until you came here on the premise that this page is going to make you money, and you're wrong. You're wrong on a fundamental level. You're wrong. I'm not going to make you money. You're going to make you money.
Right.
So I'm just going to help you. I'm going to provide you with some tools.
Right.
I'm going to be, kind of like guiding you along the way.
Do they expect that you will give money for them? So what's your what you will do?
They do, because there's a lot of examples of people
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Whoa. So they will come and approach you just like, okay, how can I make money?
Yes, absolutely. Because here's the thing, in trading world and content creation, you can either be someone who reports on news, or you can be someone who tells people what to do. And I can be someone, for example, who broadcasts to my Telegram or Discord group, and مثلا, for example, buy Bitcoin now, and a couple of hours later, a couple of days later, or sell it now. And that's me effectively making you money without you doing any work. And these people exist with paid channels and unpaid channels, even they do that. So their first impression was that I'm going to be one of those guys. I'm going to be sharing all of my trades with you and telling you what to go in on, when to sell and when to buy. And I do that sometimes. That's, people refuse to understand, and this is not my only mode of operation. And people still refuse to understand that I'm someone who is, let's say, painfully patient. Very, very patient at times. So, if I have no time on my hands, then I have no choice but to be patient.
True.
And then if I have all the time on my hands, then I have to be impatient because I'm running out of time.
True.
So that's why I behave differently in those two sets of situations. But that being said, I will do whatever I consider to be a point of strength for me. If I'm feeling impatient, I'm going to be day trading. If I'm feeling patient, I'm going to be investing for the long term. People don't accept that I switch between this and that. They don't accept it because they want something. Okay, I buy it today, tomorrow I sell it, got money. And I'm like, well, okay, sometimes I'm going to tell you how to do that. Sometimes I might tell you, no, I have a trade for you guys today. Take this trade, sell it after an hour, you've made money. I'm going to do that sometimes. Other times I'm going to tell you, oh, you should be buying into this right now. And that doesn't sit well with people because they just come and expect you to be like, oh, buy this, sell it, khalas, made money. Some people don't accept it. To me, it doesn't matter because I'm sticking to my principle, which is doing what I know and sticking to my strengths. So, you could take the easy path. You could take the hard path. The easy path is not without downfalls. If you're obligated to keep publishing trade ideas and trade opportunities, then statistically speaking, at least you're more likely to get one wrong. And getting a trade wrong as an influencer is, you do not want to be in that position because no one will ever forget.
Do you remember 200 years ago you advised us to buy that and we lost?
Your whole reputation becomes built on that one failed trade instead of all the successful ones. They're going to be like, oh, this guy is a bad trader. Remember that one time he cost me And I'm telling you, even when I put out trades that were 100% on point, people still lost money. Because they don't know how to manage risk. They don't know how to, for example, I'll tell people, oh, you can, this is not something you would understand, but some viewers might. I tell people, no, you can go maximum leverage times 5, and they'll go and put times 20, and that would, it doesn't leave room for your trade to breathe in a way, and then it gets liquidated with the market. So a lot of people lose money that way, just mismanaging their trades or incorrectly.
Due to low awareness.
Or just saying, no, Ahmed is 100% right all of the time, so I can put maximum risk on this one trade. And then they lose. You know what I mean? These things happen.
Of course. Any last word would you like to say to our audience there?
Well, I would like to thank Master Mo the master of podcasts, for having us here. This has been a wonderful, great talk. I love having insightful, deep, meaningful conversations about the space in general, about moving and staying moving and keeping on your feet. So thank you a lot for having me, and definitely look forward to what you have in store coming up for the channel, even
Absolutely, man.
for us as collaborations.
Absolutely, man. Of course, and he's my guy. I will drop his information down below in the comment. Make sure you follow him if you know more and want to dig more about trading. I believe he is your guy. And thank you, Ahmed, again for accepting my invitation.
Of course.
It's been really pleasure to have you in my podcast. And stay tuned. We're gonna have more episodes coming along the way. Ahmed,
Absolutely.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
I wish you and your team the best of luck, and
Thank
keep sharing this positivity, and keep sharing your knowledge, and keep sharing yourself, and keep believing in yourself. No
Inshallah,
matter
as
what.
long as we have people like you and followers who are good to us.
No worries, man.
Inshallah.
So, take care and see you soon.
Bye-bye.